Nice touch.
Thank you. Welcome to another edition of Lakers Fast Break Spotlight on the Lakerholics weekend. My name is Jamie Sweet. With me today are Jeff Guinness and Michael H. Laker Tom could not join us. L. Rob couldn't join us. So thanks everybody for tuning in. All one of you so far, but we'll see if that pops up. If you weren't paying attention to Planet Earth last night, the Lakers won a basketball game against the Brooklyn Nets. D'Angelo Russell playing against his former team for the first time since the trade. And true to form, D'Lo had a good game. And it came down to D'Lo missing a three at the end that I swore was going in when it left his hands. It just left it a couple inches short. And, well, we here in Los Angeles are thankful for that, D'Angelo Russell. So thanks for one more solid, buddy. With me is a new guest, Jeff McGinnis. Jeff recently had a birthday, so happy birthday, Jeff.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Thank you.
How old are you now?
I'm 41.
Oh man, Jesus! You're the spring chicken of the group today, my man. You're the spring chicken. That's we roll old here on the at Lakerholics.com.
Are you assuming I'm over 41?
I'm assuming you're at least 1 year older than me at 51. So, and I'm cap it right there. I don't assume after that. That's your business. If you want to be like a waspy housewife from DC and age 42 for the rest of your life, that's fine by me. I'm not here to judge.
I just spilled coffee on my computer. Excuse me.
Oh, all right. Well. While Michael tends to technical difficulties, I just want to talk about a couple of things that jumped out at me last night from the game. One, only one Laker scored. Oh, no, actually, by the end of the game, Gabe got into double figures. For a while, just LeBron and Reeves, for most of the game, LeBron and Reeves were the only two Lakers anywhere near double figures. Everybody else was either missing shots or passing up shots. Max Christie had a bad shooting game. I thought his defense was solid. But he shot 2 for 13 overall, 2 for 8 from 3, got to the line, missed one of those. But I didn't think it didn't deter him from being active and impacting the game on defense, which is, for me, always a big thing, especially with younger players. Good afternoon, YYC. How you doing? I just thought it was a pretty solid effort by the team to pull out what I thought was a game that probably shouldn't have been that close, given the talent level that Brooklyn features these days, but there it was. 1 point, last shot, couldn't score for minutes at a time in multiple quarters. It was kind of a mess of a game. Let's start with you, Jeff. Your thoughts on last night's affair?
Yeah, we're just when AD is out, it's just such a. I mean, we're already starved for big man muscle down low, and when AD is out, it's just crazy how we can't pull it. Well, I guess I'm glad we did pull it together against a very inferior team that just got beat down by the Clippers by almost 60 points just recently, and we squeaked out a 1 point win against them.
Right.
But I'm glad that what Rui actually, he only shot 1 for 4 from 3, but he did come up with 6 boards. Jackson Hayes came up with 9 boards. I think that really helped.
Yeah, I thought Jackson Hayes actually did an all right job. For Jackson Hayes, you can't expect a lot out of Jackson Hayes. It is worth noting that along with our scoring issues, no Laker had double-digit rebounds last night, and we were outboarded 45-34, which highlights your size issue. YYC, I was hoping Dalton got going last night too. That guy is I don't know what happened. Michael, your thoughts on the rebounding? I agree. I think it's all in his head. I think, to be honest, they kind of need to send him down to the G League for like 2 or 3 games and just let him
find his rhythm.
Just work it out, man.
Yeah.
Just get on the court, play 25, 30 minutes a game, and just get into something that makes sense to your body and your mind. And that's I don't think he's going to shoot his way out of it in 15-ish minutes a game in the NBA level. I think it's asking a lot of a very young player. Michael, your thoughts on the rebounding disparity? And, well, we just talked about Dalton Connect, but if you want to add more to DK4.
Well, yeah. To be fair, the Nets had a couple of, they're a weak team, but they do have a couple of guys that can really board. Claxton is a good rebounder, and Sharp is an excellent rebounder. So you take our best rebounder out, and you're going to have some issues. but overall, the game, you kind of knew that it would be a tougher game, right from the beginning, even before AD was out. I knew it wasn't going to be a repeat of the Clipper game because number one, they had three guys that didn't play against the Clippers play against us. Three rotation guys. I mean, Russell didn't play against the Clippers. So you knew they were going to be a little bit better, and teams and they were talking about this on Sportsnet before the game. Teams that get a beat down like that usually come out and two ways. They're either going to, get behind a few points and fold again, or else they're going to, really give it everything they got and play as hard as they can. And I think that's what we saw from those guys last night.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get number 2.
Yeah, I thought, when you brought up Max. I had a problem with Max's offense last night. He was being aggressive and he was getting into the paint, but my goodness, he was taking all of these contested 2-3 guys contesting his shots and then
looking at the refs like you're not that guy, bro. You're not that guy.
And I'm thinking, okay, where's the kick out? You get in the paint. Let's find a guy in the corner. Find Rui in the corner. Find somebody. If you're being challenged by 3 guys, there's going to be a couple of guys open. And he wasn't. He was so singularly focused on shooting at himself. He wasn't. He was just. He was being challenged on almost every foray into the paint.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest issue I had with Max. But overall, I mean, that was probably Jackson's best game of the year. And he came up kind of big. It was kind of interesting that they threw the new guy. What's his name?
Trey. You're talking about Trey?
Yeah, no, the new guy that we just acquired.
Yeah, Trey Simmons.
Yeah.
Jemison. My bad, Jemison the third.
Yeah, he met the team in the morning. went through the shoot around, and they threw him out there to the Wolves. And he got 4 boards and 2 blocks. JJ was talking about how he missed a lot of coverage. He goes, after all, it was his first day on the job with no practice or anything. So
yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice. I mean, it's obvious that the Lakers are. Well, we'll talk about some of these 2-way contracts and how that affects.
I think the reason why Koloko wasn't up is because he's used up almost half of his 50 games.
He's got a lot of games left, and like they can only So and I don't think we're going to free up a roster spot, but we'll get more. We'll go into that later. Listen, Kurt, let's not throw insults. Jeff McGinnis is not New Laker Tom. Oh, did I change my name? Speaking of which, I did not. I always forget to change Gerald's name, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're Gerald Glossford," and I'm like, "I'm not." So let's do that now. There we go.
Oh, by the way, Jamie, would you feel, since Tom isn't here, would you feel more comfortable if I talked over you and yelled at you from time to time?
That's what I mean. Kurt's out here throwing these insults around like Jeff's some sort of rude son of a bitch, and I mean, whatever. I'm all good. It's all just fun for me. It's all just fun for me. All right. So one thing I thought was interesting last night. Also of note, Dorian Finney-Smith was out. Birth of his son. So another big body, another guy who is actually a solid rebounder, and that's a big miss with AD out as well. That's a lot for guys like Trey Jemison III, 2-way contract, who's barely played in the NBA, to just make up on the fly, especially as Redick noted, he had no practice. I thought that Dayton Sharp is a big body. And I will say this though, watching the game last night, I really wish we could have included Day'Ron Sharp in the trade because I think he fits better on our team than Milton does. I think Gabe Vincent had a great game last night. Let's not forget that. I've been a huge critical person of Gabe Vincent. I'll be the first one to say that, and I will also be the first one to say I thought last night was one of his best games of the season, maybe one of his best games as a Laker.
Lots 2 in a row now for him. 2 good ones in a row.
Yeah, he's had 2 solid games in a row. Unleash the fro, man. If it's the fro, let it. Don't ever put it back in braids. Let it fly, man. I love it.
Let it flow. Let the fro flow.
Let the fro flow, baby.
I have a thought on Gabe, and he missed almost the entire year last year, and
Yeah.
with serious injuries. And athletes sometimes they just don't bounce back right away. He comes into the season, oh, he's going to be that guy, and it takes them a while to start trusting their body again. And I'm hoping that's the issue, and I'm hoping we'll see more of this version of Gabe as we go forward, because we need a secondary ball handler off the bench. We really do. So I'm hoping this continues.
Yeah, no, this is a great point YYC brings up. Only 12 points. The bench scored 12 points. You want to know how bad a game Dalton Connect had? Another donut from Dalton Connect.
No, he got 2.
Oh, that's right. He had like a putback. He had like a putback rebound or something, or maybe
free throws.
Free throws. even more.
Yeah.
I mean, not meaningless because we won by 2 points. So it was those free throws that won us the game in a way.
Dalton won the game, man.
Dalton won the game by 1 point.
Game ball to Dalton. Game ball to Dalton. No, but like that's I agree. I'm not gonna say anything different. I've been really hard on Gabe Vincent since last season. And it was partly because of the Kendrick Nunn PTSD that I think Laker fans will remember of, we paid not a lot of money but I mean, the guy never played. Like he was
another guy coming from the Heat. That's
why that's right. I have a hard rule. No more players from Miami. No more. We should have picked Jaquez. I will forever say we should have picked Jaquez over Jalen Hood-Schifino. But we have flayed that dead horse.
Yeah, did that to death already? Because that's a drum I beat constantly.
It's a very beatable drum. It's a very beatable drum.
Or Cam Whitmore, even better. I watched him the other night.
Either one. It really doesn't matter. Either one was the better choice by like a country mile, and that's being
Podensky from the Green.
Oh, it just keeps going.
Goes on and on and on.
It's a huge list that goes on and on. No one's even drinking Coke in the morning. What kind of show is this? Thank you, Kurt. Yes, if you're not, Laker Tom is unavailable today, as is El Rob. If you're just popping in, this is my friend Jeff McGinnis over here. Is with me. Usually he is with. I can't say anything this morning. I'm still drinking coffee myself. Maybe I should drink some Diet Coke in a tiny little can. All right. So Gabe's still not a good passer. Look at how listen, Gabe Vincent is not. Again, the player has limitations, right? I think for a point guard off the bench, I think the option between he and Shake, and I will say I have a hard time watching Shake Milton shoot jump shots. It's the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like this weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like a gazelle, like jumping over a fence or something. It's an odd situation, but hey man, he's made money. He's a better NBA player than I'll ever be, so I can only say so much. But I'm not worried about Gabe Vincent not being a great passer. He is not a great passer. His first role should be point of attack defender, on ball defender, ball hawk type guy. Second role is make open threes, and the third is, hey, maybe grab a rebound, maybe take it to the hole. That's it.
2 blocks last night too.
His defense was great. He and Max Christie had really great defense, and it helps that they're guarding a point guard who doesn't like to shoot in Ben Simmons. But,
oh my God!
I know
you can talk about Ben Simmons forever too.
No, it's
making $40,000, man.
I mean, per game. It's something like 40. It's like, no, he makes more than 40. It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's talk about Ben Simmons for a minute. And because Laker Tom, our good friend Laker Tom, and I'm not going to try to throw him under the bus while he's not here. But one of the trades that he has proposed in recent years, multiple times, that I take great umbrage with, is this slew of players for Ben Simmons. And I'm always like, why? What planet does it make sense to send anything but like a rusty bucket for Ben Simmons? And even then, it kind of depends on the rusty bucket. Like, how rusty is it? Like, there's just nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Even if he played well, he can't stay on the court.
Yeah, exactly. Like he plays. How many games did he play last season? Like
10 or something. 15? I don't know.
Yeah, and now he's just shooting getting an efficient 6 points a game because he doesn't shoot.
Like 5 rebounds.
Like his only shots are dunks right now.
I mean, he would be a bad backup 4. Like that's where Ben Simmons is. So I kind of expect him to sign a vet minimum.
He had clear pass to the basket, but he won't go because he's afraid he'll get fouled and have to shoot free throws.
Talk about a guy whose career is in his head. That is Ben Simmons. Like it's all broken up here, and that's the problem. That
do you think the Nets are starting him, hoping that maybe he's going to find it and we're going to be able to dump him on somebody?
I think
they're playing him because they want to lose.
I think that's true. Yeah, I think that I don't think anybody's. There's so few, because I'll tell you why Ben Simmons isn't going to get traded, and that's the new CBA. Like, I mean, you can't even. People are like, oh, I don't know about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler impacts winning. It's clear as day. You might not like Jimmy Butler's hair. You might not like Jimmy Butler's attitude. You might not like this or that about Jimmy Butler, but you cannot say Jimmy doesn't help you win, because Jimmy helps you win. He's taken teams that have no business being in the NBA Finals to the NBA Finals. So I don't care what you think about Jimmy Butler. That track record, in my opinion, speaks for itself. Ben Simmons and his money is such, even though it's an expiring contract this season, right? So like you could maybe see Portland. Portland trying to move Ayton for Simmons, right? Like.
Just to get out of the money.
just to get out of the money. And you could, but then why does Brooklyn need a fifth center? Like, it's not, none of it's going to work. So there's like this whole thing. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think they're just going to let him expire, to be honest. I think that I think Michael's right. They're playing him to lose.
They got what they wanted out of that trade. They got a couple of firsts out of Philadelphia. And Ben Simmons was just like, it was basically a flyer at that point. It was salary match and flyer.
Yeah. Well, because Brooklyn was imploding because everybody who wanted to be there suddenly was like, we're just kidding. None of us want to be here, actually. And we're all leaving as soon as you let us go, which was always, I thought, the weirdest situation. Like, I always think it's weird when superstars like have tea and crumpets somewhere, in Rome, and are like, shall we all play on the Brooklyn Nets next year, lads? Oh, and then they get together and they're like, oh, I don't like playing with you at all. Like, why did we have tea and crumpets to talk about this?
Where's the 30 for 30 on the Kevin Durant Nets,
or the Russell Westbrook Lakers? I mean, these are moments where superstars are having a twister party or whatever it is they do in the summertime, and they're like, hey, we should all play together. That'd be a great idea.
The banana boat.
Banana boat. Well, that did get one. That got a couple of titles.
Yeah,
that's one of the few. But it didn't involve Chris Paul or Carmelo Anthony. It was a non-banana boater that made that happen. Anyway, welcome to the chat, Joe Soro. Yes, nobody's a fan of Ben Simmons. I've never understood why Laker Tom even spent the time in his precious life. What precious life he has remaining in his body, his octogenarian body. He uses the times to put together a Ben Simmons trade proposal. Like, man, you could have organized a paperclip drawer or something on that time. Like, it would have just made such a better use of your time. But I digress. This is not a show about Ben Simmons. Honestly, Ben, when you're out of the league, find something that makes you happy. Like that's the only thing I'll say about Ben Simmons. It is quite obvious to anybody who watches professional sports that Ben Simmons is not happy playing basketball in the NBA, and that to me, it just looks like he's filling the time until this deal is up. And then he's going to go throw a shrimp on the Barbie back home in Australia and chill out and scuba dive on the Great Barrier Reef, or whatever you do when you've made $500 billion in the NBA in Australia. Maybe you drive around in a Jeep and, pretend you're a road warrior. I don't know. I don't know what you do in Australia. I've never been. I don't know. Endorphin. Nope. I like him on a $2 to $6 million contract, though. I don't even like him on that. I think I would much rather give that to a young player with upside. This is my point. Like, there's only down from whatever Ben Simmons accomplished in the NBA. It's only going to decrease from here. It will not get better. It will not improve. Anyway,
it all started when he was blamed for that Philly loss in the playoffs.
I think it started that season. There was some friction, I think, between him and Embiid, and him and the staff, and you could see that and this is what I never understand. Like, if you don't want to shoot, why do you think you need the ball? So he's like, I don't know. I don't think my role here is appropriate for my skill set. Your skill set is what? Like, rebound and kind of pass sometimes. He's not even that great of a passer. I mean, it's because he's tall and he can see over the defense at times that he's an okay passer, but he doesn't have a great pass repertoire. Even like where are the Reeves has a better handle than Ben Simmons has, for crying out loud. Like, I just don't understand the hype. Let's pair Ben Simmons back up with Doc Rivers. That was amazing. Yeah, that. Where's the 30 for 30 on that? There's a lot of 30 for 30s we could hope for in our time. And maybe we'll get a couple of them. Maybe we'll get a couple of them. Yes. I don't know if Joe's doing a nightcap tonight, but if you do have the time and you know that it's happening, Joe Soros' nightcaps are often entertaining. Not often. They're always entertaining and often informative. How about that? They're always entertaining, often informative. Joe, you can, if you want to put a blurb, I'll post it up there too in the chat. Anyway, let's move on. So another thing that I thought was interesting about last night's game was, hold on, who was it that I was just about to mention? I wanted to go back to Jackson Hayes and Rui Hachimura. I think it's interesting to me, one night after Rui shows what he can do with 15 plus shots, he gets 10, and he was only 40%. So I guess he had an off shooting night, but I've had a problem with Rui Hachimura's usage. I feel like you're paying him to be more of a contributor than he tends to be, based on his salary and what he can do with the ball. And I don't understand why Rui Hachimura seems like an afterthought in most games. Jeff, I'll start with you, and then we'll move it over to Michael.
I think, unfortunately for Rui, his contract is more of a statement of what they hope to trade him for later on.
Okay.
I don't think Rui would have got that same money just like with any other team open market based on his, stats and play alone. He came off that huge playoff performance. He smoked the Nuggets, the Grizzlies. I'm sorry, smoked the Grizzlies that in the playoffs.
They had no answer for him somehow. I was like,
yeah, he looked amazing. Admittedly, and Rui can look amazing so often. Great clubhouse guy. I like him on the team, but yeah, I think his money is not a statement of what his usage should be. It's more of a statement of where LeBron wants to trade him to and what for later on.
I like that. I kind of agree with that to some degree. I do think, as you said, I think the playoff performance, I think some of the things he did in the regular season when he first came from Washington, the year that he got traded here. Yeah. I think he was a pretty good when he first came, fell off a little bit, came back as a solid bench guy. And yeah. Michael, your thoughts on, I know you're a big Hachimura supporter. I'm not going to say you're his number one fan or anything, but you've always been able to highlight his contributions well.
Well, the thing about it with Rui is I think Rui could be a 20-plus game scorer on the right team. He's, people are saying, they get down on him, but my goodness, he's the fourth option. How much scoring do you get from out of a fourth option on a team?
That's fair.
And last year when they reinserted him, it was no coincidence that they went on the run last year once they reinserted him into the starting lineup.
I love him as a cutter. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he was averaging 17 points a game, 6 boards. He was shooting 48% from 3 during that run. And then I came in going, okay, this year's going to be Rui's year because look how he finished the year. And it reverted back again where they don't look for the guy.
Yeah.
That was the problem with Max Christie last night, taking all of those congested shots when there was guys he could have kicked out to, they don't utilize him enough. Now I've been hearing things about maybe moving him to the bench because obviously our bench production sucks from an offensive standpoint. Might be good because he has a real chemistry with LeBron.
Yeah.
And LeBron runs the second unit.
Yeah. That's true.
So I think it could be a good thing. But then again, the only downside of that, I think maybe after Vando comes back and gets back into form again. Right now, you move Rui to the bench, and now you have all your best defenders on the first unit, and you got Gabe on the second unit. So. There has to be a balance between offense and defense on the squad. And so right now, I don't know if it's the best time to move Rui. I think that until we get another defender ready to come back, like in Vando, you might want to keep Finney Smith on the bench for his defensive purposes, because he's probably our second best defender, and we got our first best defender on the first unit. We got a second best defender on the first unit, probably our third best defender in Max on the first unit. So, and Rui's a decent defender, but he's not on that. No, he is, Jamie.
He's decent. He's decent.
Yeah.
You said decent, and that's true. He's not.
Yeah, he's not great, but he's a decent defender. He
uses his size really well. I'll give him that.
And he's good on the ball. Where he messes up is more in his rotations. You put somebody in front of him. You push somebody in front of him, he usually does a pretty good job. But his rotations kind of gets lost sometimes. That's where his biggest flaw is. So I just don't think all of it is really. I mean, there's time like a couple of games ago he got 6 shots, and he nailed. He was 3 for 5 from 3.
Yeah,
on 6 shots. I mean, when you're getting how many points you're going to score when you're getting 5, 6, 7 shots a game?
10 at best. 10, 15 on a wow, how did that happen night? Like, I will say this about Rui Hachimura. I think he's our best cutter. He's our most active player along the baseline. He plays really well on the baseline when the action's at the top of the key. He's very active in the background along the baseline. If his man turns his head and he has a chance to cut to the rim, he does it. And that's just smart basketball. That helps you win basketball games in my
and he can play bully ball with the smaller guys that they put on him.
Yeah, Kurt just said he's out of permission. He's more of a 4 than a 3. Gets exposed by quicker guys. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Everybody Lifted has the obligatory question: does Butler get this team over the hump? In short, no. And we can't really trade for Butler at this point without gutting the team. Like it would have to be Hachimura, Christie. They wouldn't trade Reeves. They wouldn't
more for salary though.
No, I mean for salary it would be I think Jimmy makes 48. If I remember, 45, 48, somewhere in there, and Hachimura's 18, I think 17, 18. And so with Christie, yeah, you're right. It might have to record Reeves just for salary because there's no
Rui's at 17, 18, like Diablo.
Yeah,
it take 4 to 5 guys.
It take 4 guys, so you're getting the team. And they're going to want your 2 draft picks because it's Miami.
To get half a season of Jimmy buckets.
I mean,
Jimmy eat world buckets.
He might re-up with us, but again, like I don't think we need a guy like Jimmy Butler. I think we need either a dynamic point guard to slide Reeves back to the 2 where I think he's best. I think Reeves' skill set is like a combo 2 guard, like can do a little bit of everything.
The other thing that people don't realize too is you take 5 guys, you got to for one, you got to fill 3 or 4 spots after that. And even on minimum contracts, it's going to push you into the second apron.
Yeah, no,
they're not going to do anything like that.
We'll get to trades at the very end, mainly because I just don't see any more happening. But I'm curious to think what LaMelo will be a dream. Yeah, keep dreaming. LaMelo's not coming here, man. Unless aliens invade Mitch Kupchak's brain and like take over his frontal core, his front lobe faculties, and somehow it gets approved by it's just not happening. You're more likely that we signed LiAngelo and his
to a new record deal. You mean
to his new he's got the new record deal. He's gonna.
He's got the record.
He could be the clubhouse DJ.
That's so let's talk. So everybody's talking about our bench. Michael, you brought it up a little bit. So let's get into the Laker bench. The Laker bench is obviously a problem. I think when Vando comes back, it sounds like he'll be back before February's over. I'm guessing maybe even before Valentine's Day. That's right, Blue Magic. That's right. I haven't even said it enough myself. Please hit like and subscribe. Laker Fast Break is now over 2,000 subscribers. We appreciate everybody in our chat. I really appreciate everything that Gerald and Joe do to like push the channel along. Everybody who contributes, but Gerald and Joe are the main drivers. They're the engine that makes this little train puff along. Some of us puff along in our own ways, and that's that. So when Vando comes back, I hate to say this for the Dalton Connect fans out there. I think his minutes come at the sacrifice of Dalton Connect's maybe a little bit of Max Christie's, maybe a little bit of, Rui Hachimura, but mostly from Dalton Knecht, because Dalton is getting, he played another 18 minutes last night. Every starter played over 32 minutes, with Rui playing the fewest at 32. Reeves and Hayes and Christie both played 33 minutes. Reeves and LeBron. Reeves 37, LeBron 35. That's kind of at the top half of where I want LeBron. 35 is pretty much my cap on minutes per game for LeBron. I like to see him closer to 30. And I think JJ Redick's done an okay job of controlling LeBron's minutes. I mean, as much as you can control a player like LeBron's minutes. But when Vanderbilt comes back, and if he's able to score 8-ish points a game, 8 to 10 points a game, and Dalton's, if you look at his stats online, his stats look okay. All of that is from a very hot start. Since the middle of December, it's just cratered. He's shooting 18% on threes. It's bad. I will say he's still active around the glass. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's just not happening. And as we get closer to the end of the season, unless it starts happening, it's just harder to justify for development's sake. It's just harder. That's what the G League's for. It's harder to justify playing in the minutes that he's getting right now with a healthy Vanderbilt, with DFS on the team. That's a real positional logjam for the coach to work out. They're unfortunately not all dynamic scorers. I think somebody made a point that we have a lot of one-dimensional defensive guys on the team now, and I kind of tend to agree with that. It wouldn't surprise me to see if we flipped one of DFS, Vando, if he can get healthy, or Rui before the end of the season for a no draft pick deal, if one exists out there. Which I really don't think it does. I don't know your guys' thoughts on when Vanderbilt comes back. Who's sitting? Who's making room? It's only 48 minutes in a game. You can only play 5 guys at a time, so somebody's got to go. Michael, you start.
Well, I think that if you're worried about keeping LeBron's minutes under control, I think that JJ has to revisit his 9-man rotation and probably go 10. And I think Vando can pick up a couple of minutes of LeBron play. They can pick up a couple. He can pick up a couple of minutes from a whole bunch of people because of his versatility. He can guard everything, but he's not really much of a 5 defender. But he can guard 1 through 4 pretty well. So I think that he's going to. I think you're right about Dalton. He has to start shooting better, or he doesn't play good defense. Mm-hmm. He gets picked on. And if you're going to play him, he's going to have to make up for that with scoring. So I think like I said before, I think once Vando comes back, you might see Rui, because we're going to need shooting on the second unit too. So you might see Rui on the second unit, and with Vando, and that's where you may not see much of Knecht anymore. It's really it's sad when somebody, it's so bad in their head that they can't perform, and he is just. I mean, there was this baseball player, Steve Blass, back in the day for the Pirates, that won a Cy Young Award. The next season, he came out and couldn't throw a strike. And he was out of baseball in 5 or 6 months.
Maybe Dalton just needs a headband.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the second unit is a real concern from a scoring standpoint.
It's not going to fly in the playoffs right now. Like this just gets, we get blown out in the playoffs playing this way. This is not going to work.
In the playoffs, a 9-man rotation is probably going to be okay. 8 to 9-man rotation.
I was going to find that down like 7 or 8.
I think we'll be fine in the playoffs. I think it's getting the proper, getting a good seed for the playoffs during the regular season. That's going to be a bigger bigger
An
concern
8-man
with the bench.
rotation is okay in the playoffs if you got those extra 3 guys playing at a high level, but we
Yeah,
don't.
there's
We don't have
nobody-
those 3 guys coming off the
I mean,
bench that are playing
let's talk
really,
about
really
this for a
well.
minute. Who's your playoff rotation? I mean, let's assume our starting 5 is as it is today, that we don't move anybody out. I mean, obviously DFS is in your playoff rotation, so that's 6.
Yeah,
Gabe Vincent's in your playoff rotation. That's
Gabe
7.
Vincent has to be, right?
And then it's going to be one of Rui or Vando in theory. So
no, Rui will be it.
no, not Rui. I'm sorry. One of
probably
I'm sorry.
Jackson Hayes is going to be in there with DFS.
Yeah,
a little bit. He won't get big minutes, but
No,
he'll have to play a little bit.
Jackson Hayes probably gets 8 to 10 minutes in a playoff game.
No, YYC. Cam Reddish does not get any minutes. He didn't even play last night. Cam did not play coach's decision last night. I mean,
I think it's his back though, Jamie.
I know it's not. I don't think it's his health. I also just think that we have a log jam right now. Somebody made a great point. I can't remember who it was. It might not have been Lifted. It might have been YYC. Somebody in the chat made a great point. We have a lot of one-dimensional defensive guys right now, and that's true. I think Vincent is the closest thing to a two-way player that we have off the bench, and that's saying a lot for his offense. Dorian Finney-Smith isn't a scorer. He can shoot the corner 3. That's not the point. He's not a scorer. He doesn't have a score.
He stretches the floor, but he doesn't score. I mean, he doesn't do much else.
Same with
when Vando comes back, he's not a scorer. He gets the putbacks, and he can hit a shot every now and then. He might get you 10 points, 12 points on a good night, but he's in there for.
He gets you points in transition, though.
He gets you.
That's underrated. With him.
He's also a sneaky cutter. He's also stands in that corner, and when his defender turns his because he's not a scorer, so he's smart. He and really are probably the two. I mean, this is saying a lot, but the two smartest bench players we have, and that they look for the cut. Like Dalton would do well to cut to the rim a lot more and try to sneak in behind his defender a couple of times just to get himself going. Anyway, yeah, this is why let's move into this. It's we're coming up on towards the end. We got about 20 minutes left in the show. Logical Raptors fanatic. Sorry about your team this year, Logical Raptors fanatic. The salary cap sheet isn't fixable compared to the highest paid players. They both need to play power forward. AD needs it to be the best him, and Bron needs it because he can't. Okay, I'm not sure what all that means. I think what he's saying is that because our two best players, I understand. LeBron, this is the issue. Look, we've talked about this a little bit on the show. I've said this for a long time. The Lakers are like the elephant graveyard for superstars. It's where they go to die. If you're a superstar and you're starting to age out of your prime, although LeBron is kind of redefining what prime is, you are going to end up on the Lakers most likely because we will pay you. We will cater to your odd whims, and we won't question your play on the court publicly. We might say something behind closed doors. The coach might sit you down and be like, maybe pass once in a while. Other than that, you are going to kind of get carte blanche. And so that's where the Lakers are at right now. LeBron James is 40 years old. He has the worst plus minus on the team. He's got some of the worst plus minus in the NBA, especially for his salary range of salary.
That's kind of reflection of our bench because
it's a reflection of a lot of things. I don't put it all on LeBron, but the fact remains is that he's not the player that can take a bad team and elevate it the way that he used to. He can elevate himself, and that is, I think, significant and important. But you're not looking. You can't look to him to take a bunch of players and get them to a place that they just have no right being. So that's where it's at. We're in what amounts to a transition period until LeBron retires, and whatever happens in the playoffs is great. It's gravy. He got us the chip in the bubble. That's fantastic. It's probably going to be the only one he gets us as a Laker, unfortunately. I'm not saying that I know that's going to happen. I'm not saying that I hope that's going to happen. That's just what I think is going to happen. Those are all very different things in my mind. Logical Raptors fanatic. Yeah, you have a young team. Yes, you are going for Cooper Flag. I'm surprised they're not moving a few more pieces, to be honest, because I don't know that Scotty Barnes is a player you build around, but whatever. I mean, maybe he is. I haven't seen enough of him to really know. I'm looking forward to Vando coming back. I think that what we saw in the short amount that we saw him play last year was actually an improved version of Jared Vanderbilt. He was taking 3-point shots, not coming down the court and off the dribble threes. But when the ball came out to him, he shot the ball. He didn't hesitate. He just shot the ball. And that's all you want to see. And he made a decent amount. I think he was at 35, 36% last season on a very, very, very small sample size. So no, we're not going to, Darren, we're not trading LeBron for Harden. I wouldn't even trade LeBron for Harden. I probably should give, huh?
I want no part of Harden.
No, absolutely not.
It's hard for me because it's like, right, his talent is undeniable. He's one of those guys who does elevate a team. He really does. You can't take that away from James Harden. Teams that he plays
until he gets to the playoffs.
Yes, till he gets to the playoffs. And then it becomes and I will say that power has decreased as his weird ability for a couple of years there to draw fouls in the oddest of ways. The NBA kind of cracked down on his weird drifting to the left, bumps into a guy who's just standing there, and then he does this whole thing with his arms and gets a foul. Like, that's kind of been cut down, thankfully, because it was just kind of getting absurd. I mean, truly absurd for a while there, where you're like, dude, LeBron just got hit in the head on the other way down on a pretty legit basketball play that you're like, oh, that looks good. James Harden drifted 4 feet to the left, flailed his arms when he landed on somebody who wasn't even looking at him, and you called a foul. That guy, like, what? You know, I don't understand. That's right. I do. You know what, Kurt? You're absolutely right. I don't want anybody on the team with a better beard than I have, and that's just how it is. And that's I didn't want to say it. It's my secret. It's my secret. You know, that I live with on a daily basis, that I kind of know I have the best beard on planet Earth, except for James Harden. It's like James Harden, Jamie Sweet. And like, you know, for a while there, we were battling in that category, but I think he's kind of past me. He puts in a lot more money and resources to his beard than I do. I'm sure. Like LeBron and the money that he spends training on his body. I think James Harden probably spends a comparable amount on his beard maintenance. I don't have numbers to back that up. It's just a theory.
What does Harden spend more on, beard maintenance or nights at the club?
It might be beard maintenance. It's probably
neck and neck there.
It's like depends on the month. Like, you know, yeah. Valentine, February, beard maintenance. March, the club. Anyway, well, you know, I what do you guys think? I think I'm probably an over enthusiastic Jackson Hayes supporter. But let's talk about Jackson Hayes for a quick second, because I do think he is an intriguing center position option. I know everybody wants to see a big bruising center that can like bang with an Embiid or bang with a Jokic. I think there is another way you can take that idea, though, that there is that in some ways speed kills, and there might not be a faster center than Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is nimble and quick, and you saw that last night when he took Day'Ron Sharpe off the dribble. drove the ball around him and took him to the hole and dunked on him.
Yeah, and dunked on him and did the
did his Jackson Hayes I'm pumped routine, which happens through. And like Reeves did a great job getting him involved on the first play of the game, right? Like you guys better put a body on him in the paint, otherwise I'm just going to throw him the ball all game long, right? And that helped establish that quite early, and that was smart by both Reeves, the staff, and Hayes to like make that, like, with no AD, let's make sure they understand, like, we will do this if we have to. And it's going to work. So I just think Kurt, he needs to spend more money on beer maintenance after all those nights at the club. Putting that up on that goes up. That's even though here I'll just do this. I'll just go. There we go. Yeah, that's a good one, Kurt. I'm liking that one. That's a good joke. Anyway, I think that Jackson Hayes has a role in the NBA. I think that to ignore a skill set that he has, which is he's not a banger, right? And you wish that his length and athleticism and speed translated better on the defensive end and on the rebounding. And I'm not going to deny that. Like, he is an underwhelming defender. He's an underwhelming rebounder. I do think as a backup center, he's a fine option. Thoughts?
Well, in the playoffs, he's not going to get a minute versus the Nuggets, but could he play a little bit against, say, OKC, who has smaller, their bigs are on the smaller end themselves, right?
They're way smaller.
And they're a team that runs.
Hartenstein's goes about 250.
Yeah, Hartenstein, he's not going to bang with Hartenstein. That's going to be AD. That's going to be AD's role. But could he run with like Chet, in the playoffs?
He could run with Chet.
Like
yeah.
We'll see. Chet might not be back this season very well.
Yeah,
Chet, that broken pelvis, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
I don't care what age you are. That's just rough, man. That's a rough injury to come back from. But that's until they got Hartenstein.
everybody knows he can't, defend Jokic. Nobody can defend Jokic, but he can't even defend Aaron Gordon. He's not big enough to even go.
He got creamed by Steven Adams.
Yeah, he got creamed.
He was so bad against Steven Adams, they had to pull him.
That's a good point, Michael. No, you're right, and I agree. Koloko is really fast, but he's on a two-way. So if you're not sure how
he's 220 also, 230, something like that. Yeah.
No, but we're kind of talking about the playoffs right here. Two-way contracts don't play in the playoffs. They can't. They have to be converted. Only regular season, only regular standard contracts are allowed to play in the playoffs. Two-way deals.
You want my idea on that? I don't think we'll be. We're going to get to trades, I guess, but I don't really see a trade happening for a center. This is what might happen, though. Right, they're going to cut somebody. We're $3.5 million under the apron, so they can cut somebody and add one of these centers to the roster before the playoffs, and
buyout market.
And then pay them a
3.5 mil.
No, we got 3 point. No, they won't pay him that. They can pay him as little. Yeah, it's going to be prorated. It's going to be prorated, so it'll be under $1 million. It'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 750,000, which will give us room to cut somebody else and add somebody in the buyout market if somebody pops up.
Yeah, I like those ideas, Jeff. Here, let's get into it. We got about 15, 20 minutes left. What are your thoughts on the trade market, Mr. McGinnis?
I don't think we're going to be able to do much of anything. I agree, Michael. I think it's going to be, we're going to find an addition probably by cutting a guy or two, one of the, maybe a couple of these two-way guys. And then looking at the buyout market once that all gets sussed out, because I don't see them. We can't trade Reeves, right? He's like one of our only, reliable scorers at this point. Rui, we're not going to trade with. He's one of our only guys with a little bit of size at this point. But there are two most tradable contracts. So at this point, it's all buyout market. But who's going to be on the buyout market is really, no one really knows until a little bit after the trade deadline, and we see how some of these new teams and they all get sussed out. A couple of these guys that get traded are going to wind up getting waived pretty soon. So I'm not sure. I really like Vucevic. I don't know who YYC is, but I would love to see if Vucevic came on the buyout market. That would be amazing.
We couldn't sign him.
We couldn't.
If he got waived?
No, yeah, because they have a new rule. You cannot, if you're over the first apron, you can't sign somebody that had a contract higher than the mid-level. So that would restrict us to signing anybody from the mid-level over. We couldn't sign. So that's brand new this year.
That's a great point, Michael. I have not heard that. That's a new rule chime back there. That's what that was for. Yes, Kurt, and we're limited by the salary of whoever gets bought out. Thank you. That's what I think Michael was just illustrating, Kurt. I think that's an interesting point, Michael, because that means you're really just looking at, the Gabe Vincents of the world, right? Anybody who basically signed for the MLE or lower.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Yeah, we would. So YYC suggested Rui for Vuk straight up, basically. I don't know that the Bulls do that.
Yeah, Bulls don't do that.
The Bulls don't do that.
And we can't do it because we're over the first apron. Again.
We could trade for him with
not Rui straight up. We couldn't trade.
No, it'd have to be like Rui and like Christian Wood or Cam or both of those make, or even you want the forever trade filler known as Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Every day I'm like, could we get like a second round pick in 2035
for Jalen
Hood-Schifino?
No, it's bad, and I feel for the guy because like the one game where it looked like there was a game where he played and like somebody was hurt. I think Vincent was hurt and maybe D'Lo was hurt, and so he got some minutes. And he looked okay, and then he promptly went on the injured list again. It was like,
yeah. That's been the problem with him. It's
what the heck?
He between injuries last year, he was the best point guard in the G League. He was tearing the G League apart, and then he got hurt again, and he came back, had a great camp. Everybody was raving about him. Played about a week and got hurt again, and it's just like. That's killing us more than anything else because he could be a trade chip, even if he was healthy enough to tear up the G League again. people would take a flyer on him, but
At
not
least,
unable to play. He's worth nothing.
no, it's a bad situation there. It sucks. I'm just gonna say that it sucks. It pisses me off. I kind of tend to agree with both of you on the trade scenario. I think that I think it's a lot to see the Lakers throwing in a first round pick for what is going to be a role player, and in many cases is for a guy whose contract is expiring. I just don't see it happen. I don't see us sending out a first round pick for any of the deals that I think we can swing. It just
the Lakers are pretty much saying that too.
I mean, once they move D'Lo, that scenario kind of went away.
Yeah.
I mean, here's people are going to be like, well, they could package like these 6 players for Trae Young, right? But then what's left? Like, what's left? You got nothing, and we saw how that worked with Russell Westbrook. It just isn't going to work. The new CBA means you top out at 2 superstars, unless you're like the Warriors and you lose.
Unless you're Boston,
or Boston got everybody to accept lower than the max deal except for Brown and Tatum. Nobody else makes even
Brown and Tatum. They're 2 homegrown guys.
Well, they built that. They built it also before they built it before they got their last contract.
Right, exactly.
And whenever a guy like Smart, who's coming up on a big money deal, who isn't, I mean, I'm sure they like Marcus Smart, but the idea of paying Marcus Smart a lot of money to be Marcus Smart on Boston isn't going to work. You need the best player at that money, and that was Drew Holiday, and they got that guy. So if you're going to get that kind of player, right, like Drew Holiday is the best version of the Marcus Smart player in the NBA right now. It goes without. It's just, you want a ball hawk defender point guard who's smart and can get open shot, get himself like 10, 15 points. That's Drew Holiday. He impacts winning at a high level. Which team has 6 open roster spots is a good question. Let's talk about this real quick. I mean, I'm annoyed about Olivari being released. I really am. I don't understand why we need both Koloko and Jemison. You either let Koloko go or you go like I'm telling you this right now. Quincy Olivari in like 2 years is going to be on the Orlando Magic the way Scottie Pippen Jr. is on Memphis right now, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, how do we let this guy go? Well, this guy can really play basketball." And it's like, yeah, I don't know how we let him go. The dude was like, he's doing everything. He's playing defense, he's guarding, he's rebounding, he's scoring okay. Like,
especially because we need guard play, we just traded away D'Lo. Now we're relying so heavily on, I like Max
Reeves,
but we're relying so heavily on him. We're relying on Gabe Vincent to stay healthy and
Reeves to keep producing at a high level.
30 minutes. Yeah, Reeves, he had a career high last night, 38. That's not the norm for him. We can't rely on him to put in 38 every day.
No, he's not.
And to be a bad team.
Thoughts on Q, Michael?
What's that?
Thoughts on Quincy?
I don't know. I mean, the thing about it, I watched him a little bit in the G League. He came off the bench in the G League. He wasn't even starting in the G League. So I liked what I saw from him, but then you also have to remember he killed in the summer league against guys that are all trying to make the last 15th player on a team.
Yeah.
He killed it in the preseason against guys who were trying to make the 15th man on the team. So it's like
he never got a chance to be the 15th man on the team, though. He never played under Redick. It's the same as it was with Coach.
So it's just and they didn't bring him up and play him a lot. That also gives me a little bit of question as to why.
Well, I think it came at the expense of Dalton Connect's early success, and now I question not keeping him in the face of Dalton Connect's complete.
I was disappointed. I think I posted this in my thing. I was disappointed with it as well, but I can also understand it because we do. I think it was an admission that we're not going to be able to swing a trade for a center. I think
that's true.
I think that's probably the reason why they're saying, look, we just, people are saying, well, package those 2 second-round picks and get one. Well, the problem with that is that people don't realize there are the next year's pick. I mean, this coming year draft pick, and it's ours and the Clippers. Right now, those are 50-ish numbers, and unless either team really tanks, they're then who's going to want a 51st pick in the second round?
I mean, whatever. It's a pick.
It's
but
a
yeah,
pick,
no,
but it's not going to bring you much.
No.
So now, if if we were holding Washington's second round pick, that would be worth something to teams, and they might. But those second round picks that we have, I mean, just about everybody's going to beat that. And so I think that's what they're hearing. And I think that's why they decided to bring in Jemison, just to see a big body. So let's see what this guy can do,
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I'm always a Laker Tom has a nickname, if you're not aware, Jeff, named Trader Tom as well. He's got a lot of nicknames. Those are the two most family-friendly nicknames. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time, Tom. Tom and I go back and forth a lot. He's like, every year he has like 73,000 outlandish trades, and I'm like, we're not going to do anything. So it's like, we're the yin and yang when it comes to trades. But I'm also the opinion that like you can't trade your way to success in the NBA. It's easier to do in baseball, as we saw with the Florida Marlins. But you have to build a team in the NBA. You have to have like good chemistry come the playoffs. You can't just have a bunch of guys who are talented or who like have these specific skill sets that you just throw in and it all just works. And I think you're seeing that a lot around the NBA, where like GMs who aren't really GMs are like, this name player, this salary, this skill set. And it's like, yeah, but like, there's just so much more that goes into winning a basketball game, especially in the playoffs. And a lot of it's defense, and a lot of it is just communication, and a lot of it's just like chemistry that you can't just trade for. You just can't. And so, I think the new CBA shut down the super team building model big time. Logical Raptors fanatic.
I think I have kind of like an idea of what they're doing. The Lakers are what they're doing.
Trying water to LeBron.
No, they're trying to build. They're trying to, and they may have already done it, a core of good role players that will be about 27, 28 years old in 2 years. And Max will be younger. Connect will be younger. Then you'll have Rui. You'll have, you have all these guys. And then if LeBron's last year is next year, which I kind of got a feeling it's going to be.
I hope it is.
They're going to have.
I really do.
They're going to have $84 million on the books with a second apron figure of somewhere around $230 million.
Yeah,
they're going to go shopping.
Yeah, but what's a max contract in that scenario? It's going to be well over 50.
Yeah, it'll be in the 60 max. They'll be able to add. They'll be able. Now here's the intriguing thing for me is Luka, because we'll have a bunch of guys his age, and he'll have Klay Thompson at 37. he'll have Kyrie at 35. And he's already told. LeBron said this some time back that Luka will be a Laker because he loved the Lakers and he always wanted to be a Laker.
Yeah.
So they're going to go shopping that year, and they're going to have a core of role players in place. They're going to be able to add a superstar and some other good role players. If not, and AD will only be 33. He'll probably still be somewhat in his prime. So I think that's the plan. And that's why I don't see them, doing much. With the first round picks. I just think that they've finally gotten over we got to win because of LeBron's window. I
don't think they're trying not to win. I do think they're trying.
Oh, no, they're trying to win, but they're not going to. They're not going to blow up the future for guys that see. That's the thing with me with these trades. You got to look at it and say, okay, will this guy will be a legitimate championship contender if we trade for this guy? And how many guys are out there on the market right now where you could say that?
None right now. This is a bad trade market right now. And like another thing that complicates it is like the fact that unless the Lakers are trading one of LeBron or AD at this point, you're not getting a superstar. You're not trading you just don't have the money. It's just not going to happen.
You don't have the contracts. I mean, you do have the contracts, but then you'll have
nothing left.
You'll have 6 G League guys on your second unit.
And Lonnie Walker, the fourth, will be like, I guess I'll take your $3 million, Lakers, even though it doesn't make me happy. All right, so I kind of agree. We're gonna wrap it up here. Any last thoughts on the season before we we don't want to miss on the next Jalen Hood. We need to keep the first. Oh man, give Rob a chance and he'll find 3 Jalen Hood-Shafinos in the next draft. Except I think we only have 1 pick, so it doesn't really matter because. Anyway, moving on. I think New Orleans takes our first round of this year, and that's finally the end of the AD trade. And I think we have a second rounder from the Clippers.
And that's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
We have 51. Go, man. You can probably find it. You can probably find a Hood Chapino at 51.
Oh man, one can only hope. One can only hope. All right, so.
I was going to say my only reservation or thing that I'm a little bit worried about is new CBA money keeps going up, right? Like the max annual for a player is going to be $70-80 million before you know it, and the Buss family is one of the most cash poor owners in all of the NBA. How much more is this going to be sustainable for the Lakers, for the Buss family to be saying, hey, we're going to shell out $300-400 million salary cap one of these years?
Well, so to that, the BRI, the basketball related income, is the measurement by which all the salary cap numbers come through, right? And every team gets its share of the BRI. So as the cap goes up and as that TV deal is paying for the player's salary, all the owners are getting a vast sum of money, larger than, because I think it's like 51% of the BRIs for players, and the rest is for the owners and right? for a little bit for the NBA. And I don't think the NBA makes out all that much off the BRI. I think it's mainly the owners. I think the NBA makes its money off of other things there's the revenue when it comes from like jerseys and stuff like that has a lot to do with how the NBA.
There's going to be streaming rights and everything like that. It's all going to get going to get in there. I just worry because we're not Joe Lacob, we're not sitting on, or Steve Ballmer, we're not sitting on billions and billions of dollars.
And to that, I never expect the Lakers to be a second apron team, but I think they will put a competitive team within the box of framework that is anything under the second apron. Whatever the second apron is, they're going to go right up to about $50,000 below it and be like, that's where we stop, baby.
We're not, So I always caution myself, because I'm always like, oh yeah, Luka. Obviously, we're going to pay Luka. It's like, yeah, I want to pay Luka. I really want to pay Luka. Is the Buss family going to be in the financial position to pay Luka and still field a good competitive team of?
Oh yeah, it depends on. I think it depends on the core.
Yeah, I think it depends on the core, and I do like that we have all these guys like Rui and Reeves that are like 26 years old that are hitting their prime like right now, are going to be hitting their prime in the next couple of years too. That we can surround a new star with, because clearly, LeBron. As soon as we get LeBron out of there, we got to be shopping. We got a big shopping, big time. Well,
yeah, because there's a big gap between our first draft pick that we keep and LeBron, and that first draft pick, the first season after LeBron, probably isn't going to be great. It's going to take a season of losing for that to become a great draft pick.
And I don't think we will.
You don't think we'll keep the draft picks?
And I think that's another thing that makes trades harder. Is I'm not the only one noticing how much money the Lakers are going to have to shop, and the Lakers are a top destination for a lot of players. So it takes those first round picks and say, oh, they're so valuable because they're after LeBron.
I don't know. No, that's a big assumption.
Yeah. Well, guess what? If we can go shopping, there's still not going to be.
There's still not going to be that. I mean, they'll be late teens. That's not terrible. You get decent value at the late teens for a first.
No, I'm just talking. But these picks come in like year 2029 and 31.
I know.
So we can go shopping between the end of LeBron and then,
Oh yeah.
And it's like, so maybe, they talk about the value of those picks, and I'm going, well, we're going to have a lot of money in a couple of years.
Ironically, that's another thing Laker Tom and I disagree on. Is
Logical Raptor said Siakam went, 27th. Yeah, there's lots of examples of like late first rounders that turned out to be good NBA players, but man, they are the exception.
Yeah. The more
Well,
often
we
than
had
not,
Kuzma, we had Hart. They were both good players.
yeah,
Yeah.
more often than not, you get a Jalen Hood-Schifino. Anyway, on that note, we have to be. I'm sorry, Jalen Hood-Schifino. If you happen to watch the show, and I know you don't, so that's fine. But if you happen to catch an episode, we do want you to play. We do want you to contribute.
We really do.
It's just that you haven't. So it's a two-way
And
street.
you're hurting your trade value, man.
Yeah. It's a two-way street, baby. You want us to love you.
That's all LeBron cares about. What's your trade value,
yeah.
man?
Wow, let's be. Yeah. If you open the money, if you open the money, a player will come based on. Yeah, no, let's not. We're so far away from the Lakers, being able to afford a new free agent in free agency, and we're so far away from seeing a free agent that I would even want to come here, being available in free agency because they've all signed big extensions as soon as they were able to.
Hey, we can get Ben Simmons at the minimum next year, though.
I would rather get Lonzo Ball for the minimum. I would take Lonzo Ball every day on Sundays for.
Oh, we could get him too for the minimum.
I think he gets an MLE. Don't you think with his play, if he finishes the season strong and doesn't have any physical setbacks.
He missed the game before last with knee soreness again.
But that's to be expected. Like he just played. He started for the first time. I mean,
the thing about him is that. That knee surgery, the last one he had was experimental. It had never been done before. So it's like, will it hold up?
This is that's why I would not. I know this. You won't know this, Jeff, but Laker Tom also has several trade proposals in which we send out players who actually play more than 16 to 20 minutes a game for Lonzo Ball. Some of them include first-round draft picks from the Lakers.
One of these days, I'm going to post an all-walking wounded Laker Tom team.
I can't. I just can't sometimes. Sometimes I'm like,
he's got big baller brand knees, man. I don't know. Why would
I trade for Marcus Smart right now? Marcus Smart's going to be out till at least another 3 to 4 weeks with a finger injury.
Yeah, that's the other one he wants to trade for. And he's willing to throw at least one first rounder.
Williams the third's played 12 games this year. He's missed games on 3 separate injuries. He missed all of last year.
I definitely would give Lonzo a veteran minimum, though. He's more.
I would go as high as the mini. I would go as high as the biannual exception. Like the biannual exception would be available.
No. Ben Simmons.
I wouldn't even take.
Definitely not trade for him. I would definitely not.
No.
I don't want.
He hasn't proven himself yet. He's only played 20 games.
Listen, hot mess has to just retire to Australia. That's what it is. Ben Simmons is a hot mess. He's going to Australia next season. It's just not even. It's written in the stars, baby. I will personally apologize to Ben Simmons on air if he gets an NBA contract after this one. How about that? I will write him a nice letter with a fruit basket and say, I was wrong. You got another contract. Love Jamie. Anyway, at one point, yeah, Kurt, you're right. It's amazing that he's Kurt. I'm going to post this because this is true, and I've said this when Lonzo Ball came back. I always root for all the ex-Lakers. I always want to see them do well on their new teams. I just don't want them to beat us, and that's true for the Angels as well. The other team I like, but that's a whole other story, and not worth talking about because I'll probably just end up being very sad for the rest of the day because we also did get Osaki. So that's which I didn't think we were going to get him, but I was like, maybe we did really well getting Otani's career off the ground, guy. Come on and give us a couple of years at least. Nope. Okay, fine. I really am pulling for Lonzo Ball, not just to finish his career on his terms, which is I'm sure to be playing, but also to be able to live his life normally after basketball. And it seemed like at one point in time that was in jeopardy. And you never want to see that. That's why the Brandon Roys of the world and the Greg Odens, when they have these degenerative knee conditions, it's sad for the basketball world, but it's devastating for their personal lives. And I don't think that gets really mentioned or taken into account, that these are people just like all of us. They go home. This is their job, right? Their job happens to be that they play a game and 8 million people around the world talk about them as if they're their friends. They're at work, man.
Did you ever see Bill Walton walk around after his playing career? He could hardly move.
He could hardly move. He had nothing left in those knees. And Luke was talk about how he'd come home. He would not hear from his dad in days. He'd go down to see him in San Diego, and he'd be lying on his back because he couldn't get off the floor. Just crazy stuff. You don't want to hear anybody living their life like that after they retire from basketball. I mean, it's just not. Your life is more important. So To you, Ben Simmons, who I truly believe would be a happier human being not playing basketball. And to you, all those players who have to deal with like degenerative conditions that aren't, it's not your fault, man. You know, you want to have a Matt Damon, Robin Williams moment? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
You're going to make me cry for real, Jamie.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's just not your fault. All right. So that's what I'm going to say on that. It's just that there's more to life, man. There's more to life. Get yourself a podcast. We're obviously all rolling in it, baby. On that note, I'd like to thank Michael H. and Jeff McInnes and the other Lakerholics who aren't here tonight. El Rob, Laker Tom. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday. Sunday? What's
Today's Saturday. I had to check when I got up to. That's okay.
I'm getting old. Or time seems to have less and less meaning as we're yeah, exactly. Well, logical Kawhi's life is going to be tough. Yeah, the dude's, I mean, he's just trying, this is what I mean. Some of these guys are just trying to like balance, like, yeah, I want to win. Yeah, I want to justify this contract I signed. I also want to walk when I'm 50. That's a legit concern on my end. So, you know, let's just take all that into account. And these are real things, you know. Talk to go hang out at any senior center. You'll hear all sorts of stories about ailments and how the body can fall apart. It's wonderful. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks Laker Chat. Thank you Joe and everybody here at the Laker Fast Break family. Have yourself a wonderful weekend and stay safe, everybody. Adios.
Aloha.